Om Shanti. In today's Murli, Baba is talking about our relationship with obstacles. And Baba today says, do not think, am I the only one who has to face all obstacles in order to become experienced? No, welcome them to come. When the lesson of nothing new is firm, obstacles will seem like a game. So Baba has told us that obstacles are necessary because they act as hammers which convert a stone into an idol. So have you ever thought that an idol that you see, a beautiful idol in a temple, is created when a stone is hammered too much? And it is that hammering that creates the idol. It creates the murti. And Baba says, you must understand that everything that you think is an obstacle and is hurting you is making you experienced in the embodiment of points of knowledge, experienced in virtues, experienced in the powers that Baba says we have. And Baba says that you must look at obstacles as those who are shaping us into a deity. And you see that Baba is giving us so many treasures. He is giving us so many points of knowledge. He is giving us the knowledge that I have virtues, I have powers which are latent inside me, but I have not used them for a long time. And that's why they have kind of shifted into a space where I'm not even aware that I have them. So Baba says that now I'm giving you the knowledge that you have so and so virtues, so and so powers. You have these, you know who you are, you know who your father is. But do we apply these points of knowledge without a situation? No, we don't. So, do you know that when there is a good student who knows all the answers, he loves the exam? Because the exam is just a medium which reveals him as a good student. He is already studying, so he loves an exam which reveals that he is a good student. He is not scared of the exam. So Baba says, these obstacles are just platforms where you use your points of knowledge, where you apply your virtues and powers, and then you cross that situation. Because they have just come for you to practice that which you are learning. And Baba says, it is nothing new. Every cycle I have taught you all of this, and every cycle you have applied this, and you have become a deity. So Baba says, what is your relationship with obstacles? So don't say, don't not welcome them, welcome them. Whatever obstacles come, they make you experienced and they reveal that yes, you are knowledgeful, powerful, loveful, because every situation demands the application of one of these or some of these, knowledge, virtues, powers. And Baba says, so this relationship with obstacles has to change. And when that changes, your attitude changes. You don't see the obstacles as obstacles, but you see them as something that, that is shaping you into an idol, that is bringing on the, that is revealing or making that an emerged part of your personality, which you are practicing on the inside. So, maybe I'm practicing that I am detached from the body, I am a soul. But only when there is an illness can I really, test whether I'm detached from the body or not. And then that which I was practicing becomes a sanskar when it is applied. And it is sanskars that we will take with us to the deity world. So Baba says, in order to change knowledge into sanskars, you need a platform. So, you need a laboratory where you can apply your theoretical knowledge and get practical results. So these obstacles are like that laboratory which help you to apply the treasures, the points, everything that Baba has given you, and get practical results in the form of sanskar creation. And these sanskars will go with us. So we should be very interested in converting knowledge into sanskar. And that only happens when we practically apply it in situations. So this I loved because it is about doing away with our adversarial relationship with obstacles. And I think this is a very important piece of knowledge that Baba gives, because we have had this adversarial relationship with obstacles for way too long now. For 63 births in Bhakti, we have had this relationship with obstacles where we say, I don't like obstacles. And you're warding them off, you're wishing them off, you're employing so many methods so that they don't come. But Baba says, the storms that come, they have gifts hidden inside them. So those storms have come with gifts. And if those storms don't come, how will you get the gifts of those experiences? How will you get the gifts of, sanskars created through application? So Baba says, don't have this attitude towards obstacles. Welcome them. They are coming to give you a gift. So this is something. And then there are many little things in the Murli today. There is a broad theme also, but then I would like to focus on the little things in the Murli today which are very interesting. And in today's Murli, Baba talks about regard, and Baba talks about, if I do something, others will see and follow. And Baba says that you have to understand that you just don't have to do things that make sense, or don't just have to do things that you feel like doing. But you also have to understand that by doing something, you are creating a culture. So, whatever you do, people are copying it and doing the same. And that's why it's very important to know that when you do something, you must understand it has to send the right message. And I will tell you something. When I came into Gyan, I did not have this awareness that people do not have a lot of power of discernment. They don't understand that their context and your context is different. So you have to do things which set a good example also. Maybe you have a very good reason for doing something which doesn't look good on the outside. But then when other people see it, they don't understand the context in which you did it. They only see what you did and they do the same. So this is why I have to pay a lot of attention to the fact that when I'm doing something, I'm setting an example. And I will tell you one thing. So there was this episode in the Yagya where somebody asked Prakashmani Dadiji that, Dadiji, why do you give drishti to the food when you eat it? Because I'm sure with all this tapasya that you have done over so many years, the soul is so powerful that even if you ate something which was not energized food, you have the power to overcome its impurity and your body will be able to discard the impurity and only take the purity. So why do you have to take so much caution about food? Because Dadi followed all the disciplines about food, which we all do. Baba did, Mama did. So Dadi said, it's not just about whether I have meditated and I have reached a position where I, the soul, can purify the food taken in by the body. It's also about setting an example. Because if I today take the food without giving drishti, then others will see it and they will do the same. They won't understand that Dadi is a tapasvi soul and I am not. So people just randomly copy. So you have to do what sets a good example. And although you might have a very good reason for doing something, that reason is not obvious to the other. So despite the reason, do that which sets a good example. So Baba gives this teaching and I have seen, this is a very important thing to practice, because in a family setting, it is said that, the father says that don't do as I say, do as I do. Don't do as I do, do as I say. But the child does as he does, not as he says. And have you seen that with words we teach children that respect everybody? But if in a family setting also the husband and wife don't show mutual regard to each other, then the children also learn to be disrespectful. And it is very important that we uphold this virtue of having regard for everybody, talking respectfully, looking at their strengths, appreciating them for what they have done, or at least understanding that everybody is making an effort, is very, very important. Because if we don't have regard amongst ourselves, then how will we create a culture in Satyug where there is mutual regard and respect? So Baba says, and Baba today very clearly mentions, everybody has weaknesses. Nobody has become perfect. But even with those weaknesses, we have to create a culture of regard. If I say that you are not perfect, so you don't deserve my regard, then how will I create the sanskar within myself and the sanskriti of regard which I have to take in Satyug? So Baba says it is important that you practice giving mutual regard. And Baba not only teaches it, Baba does it. And Brahma Baba himself, he says that today Baba is giving the example of Jagdish Paisa, and Baba says that child is even, more knowledgeful than me and Mama. Now, we all know that Baba and Mama are the number one beads in the rosary. So there is nobody better than them. But Baba sets this example by praising Jagdish Paisa, because Baba understands that if I don't give regard, then how will I teach children how to give regard to others? So Baba not only teaches to give regard, but he does it and sets an example. So it's very important that we do things that set the right example. I will tell you one very important, very interesting and very fun incident. So there is this sister in the center, and she's some 80 years old, more than 80. And then, one day she was teaching in the class, and Baba's teachings, of course, she was sharing that everybody should do their work and everybody should, do their own seva and not take seva from anybody. And then there was this little child, and he said, but I have always seen you only sitting. I have not seen you doing anything. So you see, she's a 80 plus aged Didi, and that's a little child, and she has done so much in her lifetime. But when the child is hearing it, he doesn't have the discernment to understand that, she has done enough. So he is seeing that she's not doing anything. She's just sitting and giving lectures, and then, she's asking everybody to do their own work. So then, that Didi, she immediately got up, took her cup and took it to the sink and washed it. And then she was telling me, you see, he has never seen me do anything, so he's right. So how can I? So, it's not his fault. We did everything in our time, but he didn't see. So he is pointing that out. But this is an example of a little child. But in every case, this happens because people are so full of their own ego that you don't have the discernment to appreciate that the context of the person who is speaking something and my context is different. You start comparing that, you are saying this but doing this, but I'm not you, that you don't understand. So this is why Baba says, even when parents are speaking something and doing something else, maybe there's a very good reason for that, and maybe they are very good in their reasoning for arriving at that behavior, but the child doesn't understand. The child only copies. So everybody is just copying. So we have to pay attention that whatever I am doing, is it emulable or not? Is it okay if somebody copies it? Am I setting a good example in action? This is a very important point to pay attention to. And then Baba today says something very interesting, Baba says, in Satyug, you don't have to wait for a child. And when the time comes, there is a vision and then there is a child. And Baba also says that it is very difficult to even understand Satyugi systems from this partly body conscious, partly soul conscious stage that we are in right now. And I was just wondering, you see, it's such an interesting thing that Baba is saying today, because I had never heard this point, or probably never paid attention to this point earlier in the Murli. And Baba says there is no concept of waiting in Satyug. And you see, these days we have desires. So desires, a desire means I want something before I get it, before it's time. What is a desire? I'm destined to get it 3 days later, but I want it today. And between that desire and that attainment, there is a waiting. But because Satyug is the age of harmony and everything is so synchronized there, so your wish and the event, they happen together. It's not like you want it today and you are destined to get it 3 days later. You want it when you are destined to get it. So they happen together. That's why there is no lag. And that's why there is no waiting in Satyug. And I was today thinking about this waiting, and it's very interesting, you see, our relationship with this waiting has also changed so much. So in Satyug, we didn't wait. This is something that Baba told us today. But you know, when I was a child and I waited for something, I waited in anticipation. You know, I remember there was this pencil box and it had a musical, you know, it had a small Casio attached to it, and I wanted it for very long. And then somebody promised me that they would post it to me. So they would send it to me by post. And I waited for that for around 45 days. And it was a beautiful waiting. I enjoyed that process very much. I think more than the pencil box, I enjoyed the waiting. Because there was so much anticipation when we waited earlier. But as I grew up, before Gyan, of course, because Gyan changed everything, but as I grew up, I stopped waiting in anticipation. I started waiting in anxiety. So, you know, everything, if I have to wait for something, I would tell you something as simple as your YouTube page loading. You know, there's a loading happening, or there's a program that's coming, and then you can't even wait for 5 seconds. 5 seconds looks like 5 years. And we don't have the capacity to wait patiently now. And that anticipation has been, replaced by anxiety now. And now there is waiting in anxiety, and I did that for so long. And every time there was a wait, I hated it. But now when we are in Gyan, it's different, and you know, there is patience and there is understanding that everything happens for good. So I actually like the fact that things are happening at their own time. So I think this relationship with waiting changes over yugas. So, in Satyug there is no waiting, then there is waiting, but then because the soul is purer, so the waiting doesn't make you miserable, and then the waiting makes you miserable. And then when we come in Gyan, because obviously all the shift is happening here in Sangam Yuga, so our relationship with waiting is changing now in Sangam Yuga, because now we have patience and we wait with positivity. So we wait and we think that if something is taking time, it's for the good. And we trust the drama that whatever is happening for good. And I remember that I was once waiting for a cab, and that cab was not arriving, and it had taken 5 different wrong turns, and it had ended up somewhere else, and I was downstairs and I was just waiting for the cab and giving him directions over phone. And then with knowledge, this shift had happened that I was absolutely happy about the waiting. I didn't mind it, and I felt that maybe this has a reason. And then there was this lady who came 5 minutes later, and then she stopped and she said, I saw you from a distance, and I had been meaning to ask some questions about what you people do here and stuff, but I didn't have the courage to get up, go upstairs and just meet. So when I saw you from a distance today, I was 5 minutes away, and I thought God should keep you here so that I can talk to you today. And then she came and she had some questions and she asked me, and then she came and undertook the course. And that day I felt like, okay, so I was kept waiting for her, and then as soon as she left, the driver came and the cab reached. And so that day it was so bang on that I understood that I didn't wait. It was at the right time and everything happened in the right time, but it didn't happen as I wanted. I had planned something else. I had planned that, okay, I'll go downstairs, the cab will reach, I'll go. It was not according to what I planned, but it was so accurate and precise. And this is one of my early days experiences when I started experimenting with this waiting with positivity. And then this was one experience, very good experience that I had, and from that day onwards I had so much faith in the drama that yes, Baba says whatever is happening is good and whatever will happen will be better. So with this trust, I have reformed my relationship with waiting. And now when I have to wait, I am not anticipating, I am not anxious. I am very happy about the waiting, very positive about the result. And I understand that even the time when I am waiting, there is a reason and something is happening in that time. And Baba says, now that you shift your relationship and I give you patience, then you come into harmony, because you start respecting the drama, and you cannot be in harmony with somebody you don't respect. So because I start respecting the drama, I slowly come into harmony with it. And in Satyug, the drama doesn't make me wait. So there is so much synchronicity in the drama that the moment you think about it, it's happening. So Baba says I think this is a whole journey about waiting from Satyug to Kalyug. So journey about a relationship with waiting from Satyug to Kalyug. And then today Baba says that you make a promise to me, and that I will not change even if the world changes. To Baba, we say that, Baba, even if the world changes, I will not change. I will stay, I will have the same feelings for you. So even if there are 100 obstacles, my feelings for you won't change. But Baba says, this promise is not something you do with words always. And Baba says that, so have you ever promised have your parents given you a written promise, we will take care of you, fend for you, educate you, send you to school and college? No, they don't. There is no written agreement, or there is no verbal agreement. They don't even promise with words. But when that relationship is built, the promise is understood. When you recognize the parent, when the parent recognizes the child, there is a contract which is unsaid and unwritten, and that contract prevails. That promise is there and it is upheld. The terms and conditions are adhered to. So Baba says here also, when you recognize me as I am, who I am, and when you come to that experience of the relationship you have with me, then automatically, this commitment is understood. It comes without saying. And Baba says, a promise is a matter of recognition. It's not a matter of words. Because in most relationships where there is a lot of commitment, there is no words or no written contract. And where there is written contract, probably there is only the tendency to defy that contract. So Baba says that you have to recognize who I am, you have to recognize your relationship with me, and that is why Baba today is in the full Murli. Baba is underlining that I am your true parent, teacher, guide, and your true beloved. And you must get this firm that I am your true beloved, I am your true parent, teacher, guide. And then when you have this recognition of this relationship, then you will have that commitment towards me. And when you fulfill your part of the commitment, then you will be eligible for inheritance. Because I cannot just give it to you. You have to become eligible. But that eligibility you will create through this commitment, and this commitment will come through recognition that I am your true parent, teacher, child, beloved, everything. So Baba is underlining this also in the Murli today. And Baba today tells us something very important, which is, I answer everything in the Murli every day. But children don't note it, and they keep asking those very questions to me. So Baba says, if you just paid attention to what I am saying in the Murli, all your questions will automatically be answered. Because I am answering questions which are there in your heart. I am also answering questions which you don't even know how to think about. But only when you read the Murli, when you listen to the Murli with that attitude that all my answers, my Supreme Teacher is answering through the Murli, then you will recognize that, okay, this was my question and Baba has given me the answer. Because if you don't have that attitude, then that outcome doesn't come. Your attitude determines the outcome. So that outcome that you get answers will not come if you don't have the attitude that this Murli that Baba is speaking is for me and he's answering all my questions in the Murli. And once you create that attitude, then you will not have to ask any questions. You will realize that every day, whatever questions you have in your mind, Baba is automatically answering them. Okay.